94.5 in Chetwynd and 104.1 in Dawson Creek. We're on Radio Player in Canada, the app. And this is Peace FM, and we're in studio with Connor Pohl from Violet Night, one of our local, very well-known musicians. Welcome back. You've been in Toronto for a while. How long have you been here?
I've been here for like 2.5 weeks now-ish. Yeah, been back for 2.5 weeks or so.
I knew you were back for a performance, but is that mainly why you were back, or you're just kind of visiting as well?
It kind of worked out well. Like the school hired me to come out and speak and also to perform.
Oh, okay.
And they had a mental health kind of summit at CSS, and they were like, they know that I'm pretty about that because I'm going to school for psychology as well. And so they kind of had me come out, speak, talk about I abstain from using drugs, alcohol, that kind of stuff, which I think they kind of coupled that together in a way that's like, I've had a pretty crazy last year. And so they kind of, that plus being from the smaller community, kind of lends itself to, I think, giving, in their, I don't know. It's like, I hate coming across as like conceited, but in their eyes, it's like a positive influence on the community.
Yeah, no, of course.
So,
I mean, you're out and about out of school and you're in the, real world, if you want to call it that. You know what I mean? And you're genuinely carrying on, wanting to do good things with your life and doing it without any negative things in your life. Which I think, at that stage in our lives, sometimes there's a lot going on, and especially even more when you're out of school. So it's good to know that, to show them that, without being conceited, that it's possible to do it.
Right. Yeah. And I think that there's like, there is a stereotype, like, sex, drugs, and rock and roll is like an old stereotype. And I think it's less and less relevant as time goes on. But yeah, it's just something where, to me, I think growing up here, a lot of people would have counted me out, not counted me out, but I think it's harder to have that, I don't know, like people believe in you. And like it's funny because it's a lot harder to convince people, but once you do, it's like, okay, well, they finally get it. But so yeah, they were really kind to have us come perform. We had like a cool light show, and then we did the same thing at the rec center in the evening. And because I figured like if we're going to come back and play, it's like, 4,200 kilometers or whatever to Toronto. We might as well make the most of it and do like, 2 shows. I might as well spend some time visiting my family and just kind of decompressing a little bit from Toronto. Cause like I do quite enjoy it there, but it's also like extreme. It's busy. So like the first things that really hit me when I got back was just like, just walking around, it's like, it is so quiet here, like just so chill, like very quiet vibes. But yeah, so we've got a handful of shows and the new record coming out and all that other kind of stuff. So, but yeah, it's good to be visiting for sure.
Good. That's exciting. We'll get to that in a moment. Why don't you tell us about your performance? You had it here, I guess, 2 weeks ago?
It was really good. We had a great, like a lot of people showed up. It was different. Like for me, it was there's just a lot of instances that were, I guess, surprising, like, the set went great. I think I really screwed up this year though. Like for the first 3 days after the set, like we wear in-ear monitors when we play live, but like everything I did, like light tapping was really loud in this ear, but only lasted a couple days, thank God. So it's like,
that's good.
Back to normal now, and I'm at a baseline. But no, that wasn't like the big thing was just, I think I didn't really realize till like after the set when we did the meet and greet signing, whatever thing, just like the perception of people of me is vastly different of my own perception of self, I think.
Is that why you said it was surprising?
Yeah, just because it was like, there's just a lot of instances that I don't know. It's hard to get used to in a way, I guess. But that it happens. I would say it happens. It's depending like where we play. Like even when we were on tour as early as 2018, we had that kind of an impact, like in Kansas City and in Dallas. I mean, so it's really cool. We'd really love to get back to that kind of thing. But yeah, it's always surprising to me because it never changes my own self-perception. I'm very much, I think, will always be very grounded, but it's cool that the music and is so impactful to other human beings that they have this obviously a relationship in their head between me and the music, and because of that there's a significant impact. Like to me it's like that's the obvious goal, so it's to have some sort of positive impact that's bigger than just your own self kind of thing.
Yeah, to you, you're just back home, you're here to come back to it, and then you get, I guess, received very well, but in a different way that maybe you're just not used to. So that's understandable.
Yeah, like I've been stopped so many times for selfies, which is that's new. Like people will like pedal bike by me, like, you know, I mean, I'll say kids, but I mean like 17, 18, whatever.
Yeah.
And like they'll give me the hard stare, and then I'll be like, I'm like, do I know this person? Like in my head, it was like the wheels start spinning. Do I know you? Do I know you? And then they'll you know, the person, like in numerous instances, like it'll like clue in, and usually they either will know my name or they'll just be like, hey, Violet Night, like as though that's my name, and I'm like, yeah, Violet Night, like super. Like one was at the gas station when I was pumping gas. You know what I mean? It's very hit and miss, but it's like it always kind of. It's funny because like they'll be staring at me and I'll be like, is there something on my face? You know what I mean? Like in my head, I'm like, it's kind of self-conscious, but
you're not thinking the obvious, but they're obviously thinking, you know, of who you represent for your music. And when was the last time you performed in Chetwynd?
It would have been September 24th, 2018.
Wow, you even got it down to the date.
I think. Yeah, that's the last time.
2018.
That
was when you guys were releasing that album.
Yeah, we finished a wrap. We did a really Colors of You was our first record. We finished like a US run, and then I was like, well, let's do a homecoming kind of show. And the best part about that is at that point, I think we probably had like, I don't know, we didn't have a lot of people show up. Like it was decent, sure, and it was. I think we played a great set. I'm really happy with how everything went. But like this time, I would say there was like 4 or 5 times as many people that came to see us. Like it was significant. So that was obviously a positive as well. Just seeing the growth and being like, oh wow. And the thing is that last time, like, I think we did it for free. Like it was just like a free show, or like it was like $15 or something. And this time tickets were more expensive too. But I was like, you know, to justify everything, you have to charge to rentals and everything, right? So
yeah, of course.
You know, you got overhead, but yeah, I was really, really surprised in a positive way that so many people showed up, and really thankful, to be honest. Like, it's crazy how cool to me how supportive everybody is and how people actually listen. And to me, it's like it's pretty significant to like write a room. Like you've got these songs you wrote yourself, obviously, and you have, you know, you're not playing covers. You know what I mean? Like you can fill a room with stuff you've written and people know it. That's pretty cool.
That's the dream.
Yeah.
Right. Singing your stuff, your songs that you've sat late nights just writing, ripping up stuff. Maybe it doesn't work, and then it works, and then you have people singing it. I mean, that must be such a cool feeling. Yeah.
The most, like, obviously the most surreal of which was the top 40 song we had last year. That was like and then we did have another, like Head Trip made top 60, I think. And then obviously Ocean. But the goal is like top 10 with this next record and stuff. But, like always, I feel like it's like summiting Everest, like, no matter how high you get, it's just like another base camp, and you're always looking north. You know what I mean? For me,
to stay inspired and stay, I guess, focused, as opposed to just, you know, focused on the past, which is not bad. But I mean, realistically, you want to grow as an artist and in your career, so that's great. And speaking of performances, I think you were saying earlier on here before we started that you're performing in Grand Prairie. Can you tell us a bit about your performance schedule maybe this summer as things are wrapping up?
So this summer we've got festivals kind of around Canada and the US is, I think, what we're looking at. And our, like, after this Grand Prairie show, we're playing Better Than Fred's. That will, I would be pretty confident in saying it'll sell out, just because typically that Better Than Fred's does for us, which is great. We're playing with a band that's friends of ours called the North Bloods. They're really great as well. Kind of like a heavier Mumford and Sons, I would say. I mean that in the most complimentary way.
Yeah.
They're great. And then we're playing at the Axis for Canadian Music Week in Toronto, which is really cool. It used to be called the Mod Club. And that'll be a really significant for us, I think, as well. We're playing with Bad Flower, which is they're pretty they're a big rock band, like on American radio and stuff, whatever. So we're playing with them, and that will also likely be a sold out show. So I think, I mean, it's kind of just with those kinds of things, it's about stepping up to the plate. You know what I mean? Like, you've got a chance, so you better swing for the fences, and I think we definitely will.
Can people find this schedule somewhere online? Just for anyone that
just like our Instagram is usually good, or just our website, like violetnightmusic.com/tour, or literally anything. Like the go-to is violetnightmusic.com, or just Violet Night on Instagram. And that's violet as in purple, not as violent as in angry. And I always stress that because
You get that confusion a lot.
oh, like you would not believe. And then that movie came out with David Harbour called Violent Night, and it was like,
Oh, no.
I actually, so funny story. I received an email from like this disgruntled mom who was mad, and she emailed us from violentnightmusic.com from our email submission form. Okay. And so like there's kind of a general inbox, and I was like, oh, nobody's read this. And so I checked it, and it was like, that movie, why did Santa have a gun? Why was he killing everyone? That movie was horrible. And I'm like I emailed her back, and I was like, I think you've got the wrong guy, LOL. Like, what am I supposed to say? You know, like, I mean, so it only furthered the confusion, and the fact that I got the email was so good.
I feel like if you could maybe spin it in a positive way, like just it could kind of maybe work in your own advantage. You know how sometimes like you end up getting the spin-off publicity of something that you didn't mean to, and then all of a sudden it ends up being a good thing. But of course, only if it's positive.
Yeah.
And I guess this whole violent Santa thing isn't the greatest.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
I could wear a Santa suit on stage, and we could just be like, yeah, we just play the soundtrack from that movie. Just totally sick.
There you
yeah.
go. But that is crazy. Now, your time in Toronto, how has it been?
It's been great. So yeah, like I said, a lot of my time I'm studying like with the goal to become a psychologist. If I don't do music full time, music has always been prominent just because it's like, I don't know, my life view and my worldview is kind of like you kind of get a certain amount of time, and I think it's a really precious resource, and I think it's something you shouldn't squander or waste. And I think anybody can do anything. I think it's really just a matter of people not, like, a lot of times people just don't put in the work. And it's like, if you want something, if somebody else has something, you can get it. I mean, even if you're not, like, let's say you're not good at singing naturally, you're not really that good at music, well, you can go to like lessons. You can learn how to sing like opera, whatever. I don't think, I don't know. I've always been a believer that the only limitations in life are the ones you set in front of yourself. And if you create a limit in here, it's like if you, let's say you're going to, I don't know, what's a good example? Like you're going to break the record for high jump. You're not running at that high jump thinking, totally going to screw this up, totally going to eat it. You're thinking, I'm going to own this. And I think that the psychology there is like, I believe that my confidence and belief in myself has led to me making choices I otherwise would have not made and bet on myself. So like that it all has this strange trickle-down effect where it's like if you consciously are betting against yourself, you're going to make decisions that will set you up to fail. And so I just don't. And it's not meant to come across as narcissistic and by any stretch, but more so that if you don't believe in yourself, how can you expect anybody else to?
That's right.
Right? You know? And even if you don't, just fake it until you start to.
At least that's what they say.
It's a life lesson. Yeah.
But other than that, recording-wise, so I know you guys you said you were releasing an album on Friday. Mm-hmm. For last time you were here with an interview with Michael Ford, you were saying how you guys haven't signed on to a label. You're still independent. So how's that process all going with this new album, and how did you guys navigate that?
Yeah, so we've had like different offers, obviously, at this point, which is always humbling and very cool. Especially, you know, just it's wrapping your head around like a band from Chetwynd is getting like record labels wanting to sign. It's a very interesting thing to consider, I think. But for us, as far as that goes, it's kind of like it's way smarter for us at this point to stay independent in my head because we have different agencies that are interested in us, which is excellent. There's a few, so like, you know, we've got a great manager, we've got a great team, like great, you know, photo, video, whatever, everything. And I'm really good friends with everybody on the team. The only difference is like, so if a label comes in, a label would like appoint all of these things to you. Like we have a great product and distribution guy. We have a guy working at radio that's affiliated with Universal Music. So it's like, we kind of have the best of those worlds, but we don't have a label, which is like, it serves a purpose, but then it also can be limiting in the way that like they have so much control. If you're not making enough money, they can shelve you. And it's like, I've worked my whole life for this. I'm not trying to do that. There is certain instances and labels that I am interested in, I will say, and certain deals, if they were right, that I would really consider for sure. Some of my friends that I've spoke with who are in the industry in the States, like from LA and stuff, they have deals that with labels that I think are fair and that make sense. But at this point, you know, if you're going to sign over your master rights and all these other things that artists have, you really stand to lose a lot, especially for us at this point in the game because it's kind of like building your own independent business, right?
Right.
And we've built it to a point now where it is lucrative, and I do understand that allure, but at the same time, it's like you kind of, one of my good friends in the industry is like, man, like you're right there, don't sell the farm. Like you built it, you know what I mean? Wait. And if we can find a partner with the right deal, with a similar vision to me that lines up, somebody that I'd have to feel like I was friends with them too, right? Like there was a connection, because there's always that, I don't know, you can always tell like somebody's intention. It's really hard for people to hide behind the guise of kindness or genuine interest. Like, I don't know, I'm pretty empathetic, so it's like I can just like look at somebody and be like, so we're lying today. You know what I mean? Like, but if they're sincere, sincerity is something you can't fake. Like, everybody on our team that I have come into contact with and become friends with, they usually have introduced themselves as, hey, I really love your band. Like, just as a fan. And then they're like, oh, well, I work in this field. And then things kind of blossom from there. But it's never like, hey, I have a business proposal. You know, it's very organic, I would say.
So who do you guys work with in Toronto to record all your music and do all of that? Like, I know from what I understand, if you're with the label, you know, they usually have like a studio set up for it and all that. Mm-hmm. Do you guys just work with friends in Toronto and rent a studio, or how does that all go for you independently?
So this record was actually recorded in Toronto, Vancouver, and Edmonton with 6 different producers. So it's like kind of crazy. It's kind of like a bit of a melting pot sonically, and I love that because it's not boring, you know? We had one of my best friends, and he's like a full-time studio producer. Like he worked on the Anti-Heroes record and the Colors of You record, and he's probably been my longest time collaborator, and his name's Randor Lynn from Edmonton, and he works with Velveteen Audio, and they're like the premier studio in Edmonton. Like they're quite great. And then it was co-produced by a guy from Edmonton named Father Bobby Townsend. And he's really cool as well. And then we had 2 of the songs that hit a little harder, a little heavier. Mm-hmm. Kind of like on Anti-Heroes, we had songs like Hate Me and If You Were the Ocean, I Would Like to Drown. So we obviously had a nice, successful formula with him where just really nice contrasts that were complementary. And he came in for 2. And then we worked with, just fresh off like a Juno win, Ryan Worsley in Vancouver, who was also totally different world. They're all like these, it's so interesting because production is it's so unique to the individual and the process and the studios. And yeah, like all the it's crazy. The studios we worked in have seen like some amazing artists come through the doors, and to kind of envelop all 3 of those rooms into one record, I think is really a cool idea. Okay. Yeah.
What's the name of the record? Do we know?
Yeah, it's called Daydream Drama.
Daydream Drama.
Yeah, Daydream Drama.
Any backstory to that?
Well, I had a bunch of different names, as I always tend to. Like, there's just different things that I kind of will hit me. And like, so our first record is I Hope You're Well, followed by Colors of You, Anti-Heroes, and Daydream Drama. So for anybody who's watching this, here's an Easter egg. There is a similarity between all of our album titles when you say them. And I'm not going to exactly like say what the similarity is, but if you think about it and you just say each of them to yourself, you'll find that there's a commonality. But
maybe if they get it, they can comment on our video on Chat TV.
Yeah.
Give them a shout out.
Yeah, for sure.
Social media.
Yeah. So yeah, that's one of the things. Daydream Drama, I think it was kind of inspired by the lackadaisical approach I feel that many people found themselves stuck in the middle of the pandemic. You're kind of like, I think there was so much boredom that we observed that a lot of people created dramatic situation. Oh, sorry, this phone. Dramatic situation where there didn't. So I'll just start that again. Yeah, but yeah, I was gonna say, so like Daydream Drama is like during the pandemic, a lot of people had too much time on their hands in a way, not in a bad way. I don't mean that to be insulting or condescending.
Oh, that's okay.
But
we were all in the same boat.
Yeah, we all. Yeah, and I think it kind of made people like dream up these more dramatic situations of reality that didn't really exist, things that would be stretched to the like 10 millionth degree simply because we were all just staring soullessly into our phones, doom scrolling. Well, a lot. So I took a social media break and I wrote, and I'll uninstall all social media apps and just kind of lose myself in music. And it's like, generally speaking, the best I feel is when I delete all that stuff. And when we get to a certain point, I would love if somebody else ran it, because I really am not a guy that like, I know that it serves a purpose of like being connected and stuff, but I really like living in this world that we're in, like here together right now, having real conversations, So, but yeah, so Daydream Drama. And I had a bunch of different names. That one I thought had some significance, and my little sister, I actually ran the name by her. I was like, which one of these names is the coolest? And that was the name she chose. So.
Oh, well, there you go.
So here we are, yeah.
Got a nice family touch to it too then.
Mm-hmm.
What about the rest of the band members? How does that all work with you guys? Like, do they pipe in on some of that stuff, or do they just say, Connor, we leave that to you?
That's a tough one. Are you guys watching? It's usually like they definitely will voice their opinions and cast their vote and say what they think the coolest is. Our drummer, I would say I'm most collaborative with our drummer Tay. He's pretty involved that way, and he's a really great bouncing board of ideas. How do I look at this? Like, my brain is like a non-stop roller coaster of just jumbled whatever, and he's like a really grounded, centered person that can like field what's good and what's not. He's a good filter, you know what I mean? And he's really good for giving me feedback. So like he'll always give me like the wisest, most insightful feedback, regardless of situation. And he's like usually right, even if I don't want to acknowledge that in my head at the time. So then if I go against his advice, I will be like, and he'll be like,
you'll regret it later
well,
on.
He'll give me like, it's like he doesn't even have to say I told you so, because he just knows that I know that he knows that I know, But
it's a nice little psychology trick he plays on you.
Yeah. But he and I have become quite close, I would say, the last while. And he feels the most like the band was always me and TJ, and TJ's been on a bit of a break just for personal reasons. And we've had like a lot of drummers come and go, and I would say that Tay feels for sure at this point like the most like in the band drummer. Like he's really, because he's been with us now since 2019. He co-wrote "If You Were the Ocean, I Would Like to Drown with Me." Like a lot of my favorite Violet Night songs were written in his home studio together. I think we have a really good chemistry, and we're really good at knowing what's good, and what, like, the difference between good and great is really subjective, and it's really something that you have to trust your gut on. And I think together we really are able to do that. But it's something where independently it can be hard sometimes, like it's really hard as one human being to just to write everything and be like, this will work, like everyone will, you know what I mean? But having that second set of ears, and then after it gets through that process, we will, send it out to producers at a demoing level and be like, how do you guys feel about this? So like for this next, we have a record coming out, and I have the record that's following it already written. Like I have like 90 songs written for it.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah. So we're hoping to, obviously I don't want to get too into that topic because we have a brand new record coming out for everybody, but
right.
We'd like to get back in the studio soon and then have another record come out probably next year.
Will you have, I know when you're here before, the last time you were here in our studio, you mentioned how, you were releasing a few singles just because of the way that's the industry and the market is going. And it's good to release those as opposed to like a full album right away. Mm-hmm. But here we are now. You had, was it Head Trip and Save Me that have been released in that time period? Mm-hmm. And then will those make it to this new album?
The one that's coming out Friday will have those, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think they're pretty indicative of where it's at. Head Trip is kind of more of like an alt rock. It sounds like a heavier Arctic Monkeys meets Royal Blood kind of, with some 21 Pilots thrown in there, some trap. Like it's a little, it's got quite a bit going on. Mm-hmm. And then Save Me is more like a solid right hook to the jaw in the best way, even though that could never be a positive thing. It hits like a truck. Mm-hmm. It's heavy, it's energetic. That one is more like a blood relative or sibling to the song Hate Me. That was from, it was also quite popular for us. But they're those two, like they're totally opposite ends of the musical spectrum. Well, not really. They're both rock, but they're like one is significantly heavier than the other, right? One
sense.
is definitely more alternative leaning. Yeah.
Okay. And then when this comes out on Friday, where can people listen to this album?
Wherever they listen to music. I mean, Spotify, Apple Music, Amazon. There is still Antiheroes vinyl available on our web store as well if they want to grab that. There is limited Daydream Drama t-shirts, which I would say if you want one, you should get one because there's like barely any left. We printed quite a few, and I think I've got... Yeah, I've like for small, medium, like whatever, I've got like 2 shirts each, and I've got like I think 10 larges maybe left, and after Grand Prairie, I'm pretty sure most, if not all, will be gone. So
better get them now.
Yeah, we kind of try to be like exclusive with the merch, so we never do reprints. That way, it kind of is like more special, and it's for the person that buys it. You know, it's like you're not just going to keep making the same thing. You can't just get it forever. It's cool that way.
It's got a nice sentiment to it. I like that. Well, that's all I had. Is there anything else that you wanted to share with us about either your time here or anything upcoming?
No, I mean, I think that really covers it. Like we've got shows coming up, and I'm thankful that the community's been so supportive and just kind to me. And I really look forward to what's next for Violet Night, and hopefully, it sounds like we'll be touring a lot next year as well. Hopefully we get to stop in the community again, say hello, and we have more good news to share, and visit with people and everything else.
Beautiful. Well, hey, thank you for joining us, and thank you for coming to perform for Peace FM and Chat TV. I'm Marlon Gomez, Connor Pohl. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Cheers.